Thanks for coming through and checking me out as I take you through the creation process here on Fresberg Creates. Each week I work behind the scenes to put together illustrations for fun facts about history and people in history videos. And that is where I take you into my digital illustration process and the fact gathering process for putting this all together. Today we're doing a fun fact video illustration for a legendary icon in Hollywood, Samuel L. Jackson. Now, if you love digital art and seeing the cartooning process or just fun facts about history, feel free to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, clicking the bell notification to get instant alerts when we release new videos like this. So, getting started, the process of what you are going to see is just a rough sketch of Samuel L. Jackson with a goatee. More often than not, he is clean shaven, but like this photo, because it shows him more in a relaxed mood, it's kind of crazy that you see him so much that you don't realize that Samuel L. Jackson is actually in his 70s. So I'm literally looking to turn this sketch into a color cartoon to be able to share with our Fun Facts history lessons on our Fresberg Cartoon YouTube channel. Now, as I head back over and begin the process on my screen, I am working in Adobe Illustrator CS6. It is not the latest version of Adobe Illustrator, but a lot of what I'm doing can be done in most versions, beginning with creating the base layer, which is my sketch in the layers panel. Once I click on my first layer, next I have to create a brush. In the brush settings, you can create a custom brush that will add to your illustration by going to the ellipse tool and taking the ellipse tool and drawing out a circle, but squishing it down, making it look like a pen stroke. From there, make sure you have the graphic that you drew selected. And on the new brush menu option, click the artistic action, which allows you to create a custom brush. Now, as you can see what I'm drawing, it has that fine beginning to end with the stroke, giving it more of an artistic feel. From there, that is where I continue to add new layers, building up my inking, or as some may call it, line art, and then adding the color from there. That is literally where it all starts. Finding a photo or image or idea in your head that you may like and sketching from there and then pulling it all together. For example, going back to the life of Samuel Jackson and facts that we pulled up, it's hard to talk about a person without mentioning where they came from. Samuel L. Jackson was actually born in December. He's a December baby and even has the same birthday as my brother. Jackson was born on December 21st in 1948. The city that many people know and love in the world of politics is where he was born, which was in Washington, D.C. The one thing you won't see mentioned in our Fun Facts cartoon, because it is more of an icebreaker and a quick video, is the fact that although Jackson was born in Washington, D.C., he was raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee. There he was raised by his grandmother as a young boy, and his mother would later come to Tennessee when Jackson was 10 years old. That hit home for me because it reminds me of growing up in my early days. Growing up in Fresno, my mom had her own place for a while, and then we ended up moving in with my grandmother, and she was a big part of helping to raise me. Honestly, I think that's where I get a ton of my artistic gifts, is from my mom and my grandma. They love to paint and crochet and do all kinds of crafty things. Anyway, like I said, Jackson spent most of his early life with his mother and grandmother, which helped build a foundation to who he became as a man. Like checking out some of his biography, I read that at an early age, he became attracted to movies, spending a lot of time at movie theaters as a young boy. The crazy part about Jackson, though, is initially, once he became older and got into college, film was not his first choice for who he wanted to be when he grew up. Jackson actually went to a historic black college in Atlanta, Georgia called Morehouse College. There, when attending Morehouse College, he studied marine biology. Now, this would make me laugh, and we kind of mentioned it in our Fun Facts cartoon, that of course he could have went in the direction of marine biology, but the fact that he was in the movie Deep Blue Sea, where his character actually got eaten by one of the sharks on screen, yeah. Now, I have a confession, and please don't judge me, but yes, I watched Deep Blue Sea with LL Cool J surviving the sharks multiple times. Yes, I know I have shark movie issues, but hey, I was a fan. Now, jumping back to the artwork, the initial goal of creating a cartoon is to create the line work. From there, by selecting the new layer option, I would fill in colors later, but upon completing my line art, I will select all of the individual lines that I have drawn. This allows me in Illustrator to highlight all the lines and merge them into one graphic instead of them being separate individual strokes that I have made along the way. From there, once I have finalized the line art, I can merge them all together with the merge feature in Illustrator. And once they are all one, take that layer and create a duplicate. One of the layers will always remain at the top where I'll use it as my guide. From there, I will color underneath the top layer, and I will begin adding my base colors before I begin to shade my work. Now, continuing to add color to Jackson's story, an interesting story about Jackson's life was he was impacted as a young man by the death of a civil rights icon that many people around the world knew. That civil rights icon is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Of course, being there in the Atlanta area, Jackson was in attendance for Dr. King's funeral and even served as an usher during his funeral. That is something that few people can say, is that they were actually there for the funeral of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I can only imagine what it would have been like on that day with not only his family, friends, and his city, but an entire nation mourning over losing the life of such a great man. Now, adding to a time in U.S. history where racial tensions were very high in the country, Jackson took part in the Black Power movement. This is where in a protest at Morehouse College regarding not having enough people of color on the Board of Trustees, Jackson was a part of keeping board members held hostage for 2 days in a protest on the makeup of the board. After doing this, Jackson would get into legal trouble and be expelled from Morehouse College, where he would later return in 1972 to earn his degree. Now, fast forward in his life, one iconic filmmaker that helped to encourage and even place Jackson in his films was Spike Lee. Lee met with Jackson after he moved to New York City, and not only would Jackson become friends with Lee, but he would also become good friends at that time with Morgan Freeman. Who knew that these three men would form a friendship that would change the movie industry as we know it? Jackson would end up going on to star in multiple Lee films, including Do the Right Thing, School Days, Jungle Fever, and also away from Lee, of course, we all know his breakout film with Quentin Tarantino and in his gunslinging role in Pulp Fiction. I always laugh when I think about his role, even today, because you had a killer who had interesting sermons to go along with his killing ways. Now, going back to the line art, once I complete my line art and add base colors, everything you'll see in between here is just layer on top of layer on top of layer. I like doing this process because if I don't like shading or something, I've done it before where it doesn't impact prior portions of my artwork, but just a layer I'm working on. Simply put, if I don't like what I completed on a new layer, I can just select that layer and delete it and start new without getting rid of all the rest of my work. As I mentioned before, it starts with the base color, and now I'm adding shading and different layers, and this is where you can literally look at faces, or if you're using a photo where shading lies to get those color differentials so your image isn't looking too flat, you can do that. Now, another fact that we uncovered, and of course, if you're into the Disney world, the D Plus just launched this week, and you get to see a ton of Marvel films and you get to see a ton of Star Wars films, is the fact that Samuel L. Jackson was involved in the Marvel Universe and Star Wars films as well. Just taking a look back at some of the roles he played, of course, he was the Jedi Master Mace Windu in episodes 1 through 3, once they went back and did those after the first episodes 4 through 6. So I thought that was cool, just seeing Samuel L. Jackson in that role as Mace Windu. And come on now, you can't watch a Marvel film without thinking about Samuel L. Jackson in the role of the character, Nick Fury. As a matter of fact, I even loved seeing him go back into the 90s in that role that he did when they did the Captain Marvel film. Actually, a part of that Captain Marvel film was literally shot here in Fresno. Now, making my way to the end, as you can see here, I've added multiple layers of shading and highlights to give Samuel's picture some texture from his hat to his goatee. I'm also adding additional layers to highlight the highlights where if a flash or the sunlight were hitting him, you would see those different tones in his skin. But that's how I put it all together. And that brings me to the end of my illustration for Samuel L. Jackson. Now, this is my cartoon rendition of Samuel L. Jackson, which I like. And before, you can always check out the shortened version of what I'm doing today over on our YouTube channel called Fresberg Cartoon. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the art process, and you can find more videos like this on YouTube by searching hashtag Fresberg Creates. Also, if you want more information on getting notified when we release new videos online on YouTube, you can click the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to get notifications anytime we release new videos like this. As always, it's been a pleasure taking you through our journey in history today with Samuel L. Jackson and showing you our cartooning process in Adobe Illustrator. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time on Fresberg Creates.
A man known in movie history for being involved with a Pulp Fiction, a JEDI, and Fury? Stay tuned for more as I share 10 interesting facts from the biography of Samuel L. Jackson. And for more fun fact videos like this, take a moment to click the subscribe button on your YouTube channel where you will get instant alerts when we release new videos. Beginning with our first fact, Samuel Leroy Jackson is a world-famous actor born on December 21st, 1948 in Washington, D.C. Up next, although Jackson played the role of an executive who was eaten by a shark in 1999, he actually attended Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, where he wanted to be a marine biologist. With our next fact, Jackson took part in a sad day in history. Samuel L. Jackson attended the funeral of civil rights icon Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and was even an usher at the event on that day. With our fourth fact, Jackson took part in the Black Power movement in 1969. This caused a disruption at Morehouse College, where he protested the absence of blacks on the board of trustees by locking several board members in a building for 2 days. He would later be expelled from school. Looking at fact number 5, after graduating from Morehouse College in 1972, Jackson moved to New York, where it was all about connections. That is where he became connected with Academy Award winner Spike Lee, who helped Jackson get many of his early roles. That is where up next with fact number 6, keeping his promise to work with Lee, Jackson would star in Lee's early films including School Days, Do the Right Thing, and Mo Better Blues. Checking out fact number 7, in Jackson's role as a character named Gator in Lee's film Jungle Fever, it forced Jackson to make a lifestyle change. That is where he would confront his own addictions with alcohol and drugs, and Jackson would later stop using drugs. Moving on to fact number 8, 1994 would be Jackson's breakout year. That is where he starred in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, becoming an instant star playing the role of Jules Winfield, a sermon-spewing killer. With fact number 9, Jackson would journey to a galaxy far, far away, where he would play the role of Mace Windu in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and also in Attack of the Clones in 2002 and Revenge of the Sith in 2005. With our 10th and final fact, it is all about the Marvel Universe. That is where, after his introduction as Nick Fury during the end credits of the first Iron Man, Jackson would later star in multiple films introducing new characters to Marvel fans around the world. Okay, we have come to the end with 10 interesting facts about Samuel L. Jackson. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time on Fresberg Cartoon.